Welcome to the Historypedia channel. My name is Peter and today I'm going to tell you about an ancient world history. The ancient Indian civilization is one of the oldest and most diverse civilizations in the world, dating back to more than 5,000 years ago. The civilization evolved in the Indus Valley region of the Indian subcontinent, which encompasses modern-day Pakistan, India, and Bangladesh. The Indus Valley Civilization, also known as the Harappan Civilization, is the earliest known urban civilization of the Indian subcontinent and was characterized by sophisticated city planning, advanced metallurgy, and a writing system that is still undeciphered. In the later Vedic period, the Aryans migrated into the Indian subcontinent and brought with them the Sanskrit language, Vedas, and Upanishads, which became the foundation of Hinduism. The Maurya Empire was one of the most significant empires in ancient India, with its most famous ruler being Emperor Ashoka, who promoted Buddhism and established a centralized administration system. Other major empires that shaped ancient India include the Gupta Empire, which was known for its art, literature, and mathematical achievements, and the Maurya Empire, which was known for its architectural marvels, including the Taj Mahal. The ancient Indian civilization made significant contributions to fields such as mathematics, astronomy, medicine, and philosophy, and its legacy can still be seen in modern-day India's diverse cultural traditions and practices. The early Vedic period is the earliest phase of the Vedic period in ancient Indian history, and it is characterized by the composition of the Veda, the oldest and most important collection of Vedic hymns. This period is also known as the Vedic period. During the early Vedic period, the Aryans, who were nomadic pastoralists, migrated into the northwestern region of the Indian subcontinent from Central Asia. They brought with them their culture, religion, and language, which eventually became the dominant culture of ancient India. The society during the early Vedic period was organized into tribes or clans, known as Jainas or Ganas, and the main occupation was animal husbandry and agriculture. The social hierarchy was based on the concept of Varna, which divided society into four main classes: Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. The Veda, composed during this period, contains 1,028 hymns, or suktas, addressed to various gods and goddesses, such as Agni, Indra, Varuna, and Summer. These hymns were recited during religious rituals and sacrifices and served as a means of communicating with the gods and seeking their blessings. The language of the Veda is Vedic Sanskrit, which is different from classical Sanskrit, the language used in later Vedic texts and classical Indian literature. The Veda contains many important literary and linguistic features, such as alliteration, metaphors, and similes, and it is considered a masterpiece of ancient Indian literature. Overall, the early Vedic period played a significant role in shaping the cultural, social, and religious traditions of ancient India, and its legacy can still be seen in modern-day India. The late Vedic period is the second phase of the Vedic period in ancient Indian history, following the early Vedic period. This period is also known as the Brahmana period, as it saw the composition of the Brahmanas, the texts that elaborate on the ritualistic practices and beliefs described in the Vedas. During the late Vedic period, the Aryan society became more complex and organized, and the caste system emerged as a social hierarchy based on birth and occupation. The society was divided into four main varnas: Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. The caste system was a rigid social order that determined a person's status and occupation, and it was maintained through strict rules and regulations. The Brahmanas, composed during this period, elaborate on the rituals and sacrifices described in the Vedas and provide a detailed explanation of their significance and meaning. The Brahmanas also contain stories and legends that explain the origin of the gods and their relationships with humans. The Upanishads, philosophical texts that explore the nature of reality and the self, were also composed during the late Vedic period. The Upanishads present a new approach to spiritual inquiry, which emphasizes self-knowledge and the realization of one's true nature as the ultimate goal of human life. The Upanishads are considered the foundation of Vedanta, a major school of Hindu philosophy that is still influential in modern-day India. The late Vedic period also saw the emergence of new religious movements and sects, such as Buddhism and Jainism, which challenged the traditional Vedic practices and beliefs. These movements rejected the authority of the Vedas and advocated for a simpler, more ethical approach to spiritual life. The Vedic period in ancient India was characterized by a decentralized political system, where various tribes and clans were ruled by chieftains or rajas who held limited authority. The rajas were responsible for maintaining law and order, protecting their subjects, and leading their communities in times of war. The Rigveda, the oldest collection of Vedic hymns, contains references to several kings or rulers who lived during the early Vedic period. These kings were known as Aryans, and they ruled over small territories or kingdoms. Some of the notable kings mentioned in the Rigveda include Sudas, Devadasa, Bharata, and Trasadasu. During the late Vedic period, the political system became more complex, and the concept of Raja or kingdom emerged. The Rajas gained more power and influence, and the territories they ruled over became larger and more organized. Some of the famous kingdoms that emerged during this period include the Kuru, Panchala, Kosala, and Veda kingdoms. The Mahabharata, an epic poem that narrates the story of the Kuru dynasty, contains references to several kings and rulers who lived during the late Vedic period. These include King Shantanu, who was the father of Bhishma, the legendary warrior who fought in the Kurukshetra war, and King Janaka, who was the father of Sita, the wife of Lord Rama. The Puranas, a collection of ancient Hindu texts, also contain references to several kings who lived during the Vedic period. These kings were often portrayed as ideal rulers who followed a dharma or moral duty and were beloved by their subjects. Overall, the kings of the Vedic period played an important role in shaping the political, social, and cultural traditions of ancient India. They were responsible for maintaining law and order, protecting their subjects, and leading their communities in times of war. Their legacy can still be seen in modern-day India, where many ancient dynasties and kingdoms are still revered and celebrated. Overall, the late Vedic period played a significant role in shaping the cultural, social, and religious traditions of ancient India, and its legacy can still be seen in modern-day India. The Maurya Empire. The Maurya Empire was one of the largest and most powerful empires in ancient India, which lasted from 322 BCE to 185 BCE. It was founded by Chandragupta Maurya, who overthrew the Nanda dynasty and established his capital at Pataliputra. Under the leadership of Chandragupta and his successors, the Maurya Empire expanded rapidly and became a major political and economic power in South Asia. The empire covered a vast territory that included present-day India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, and parts of Afghanistan. Chandragupta Maurya was the founder of the Mauryan Empire in ancient India. He was born in 322 BCE in the Magadha region and is believed to have been a member of the Kshatriya warrior caste. Chandragupta was orphaned at a young age and was raised by his mother. As a young man, he came into contact with Chanaka, a Brahmin scholar and political strategist who became his mentor. With Chanaka's guidance, Chandragupta began a campaign to overthrow the Nanda dynasty, which ruled over the Magadha region at the time. Chandragupta's campaign was successful, and he established the Mauryan Empire in 322 BCE. He then expanded his empire through a series of military campaigns, conquering much of northern and central India. He also established a strong administrative system, with a hierarchy of officials and a system of taxation. Chandragupta is also known for his marriage to Seleucus Inacata, a Greek general who had conquered much of Asia Minor and parts of Central Asia. The marriage cemented a peace treaty between the Mauryan Empire and the Seleucid Empire, and is believed to have paved the way for cultural and commercial exchange between India and the Hellenistic world. In later years, Chandragupta is said to have renounced his throne and become a Jain monk. He is believed to have died in South India around 298 BCE. Chandragupta's legacy as the founder of the Mauryan Empire has had a lasting impact on Indian history and culture. His empire was one of the largest and most powerful in ancient India, and his administrative reforms and military conquests set the stage for the empire's continued expansion under his successors, including Ashoka the Great. One of the most famous Mauryan emperors was Ashoka the Great, who ruled from 268 BCE to 232 BCE. Ashoka is remembered for his military conquests, administrative reforms, and his conversion to Buddhism after witnessing the devastating effects of war. He is also known for his edicts, which were inscribed on pillars and rocks throughout the empire and promoted moral values such as non-violence, compassion, and religious tolerance. Ashoka the Great, also known as Ashoka Maurya, was an emperor of the Mauryan Empire who ruled from 268 BCE to 232 BCE. He was the grandson of Chandragupta Maurya and son of Bindusara, who succeeded Chandragupta as emperor. Ashoka is considered one of the greatest emperors in Indian history and is known for his military conquests, administrative reforms, and his conversion to Buddhism. Ashoka's early reign was marked by wars of conquest, and he is said to have waged a brutal campaign against the kingdom of Kalinga, which resulted in the deaths of over 100,000 people. The carnage of the Kalinga War deeply affected Ashoka, and he renounced violence and embraced Buddhism as a way to promote peace and non-violence. Ashoka is known for his edicts, which were inscribed on pillars and rocks throughout his empire. These edicts promoted moral values such as non-violence, compassion, religious tolerance, and respect for all forms of life. The edicts were written in Prakrit, a language used in everyday communication in the Mauryan Empire, and are considered important sources of information about Ashoka's reign and the culture of ancient India. Ashoka's administrative reforms included the establishment of a network of roads and rest houses for travelers, the creation of a system of weights and measures, and the appointment of officials to oversee agriculture, forestry, and mining. He also supported education, with the establishment of universities and scholarships for students. Ashoka's patronage of Buddhism helped to spread the religion throughout India and beyond. He is credited with sending missionaries to Sri Lanka, Southeast Asia, and parts of Central Asia, and his support of Buddhist institutions helped to establish Buddhism as a major religion in India. Ashoka's reign had a lasting impact on Indian history and culture, and he is considered a symbol of the ideals of peace, non-violence, and religious tolerance. His edicts continue to inspire people around the world, and his legacy has influenced leaders such as Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King Jr. The Mauryan Empire had a well-organized administrative system, with the emperor at the top and a hierarchical bureaucracy that oversaw taxation, law and order, and the collection of revenue. The empire also had a complex network of roads and trade routes that facilitated commerce and cultural exchange. The Mauryan period saw significant advances in art, architecture, and literature. The Ashokan pillars, which were carved with inscriptions and topped with animal sculptures, are considered some of the finest examples of ancient Indian art. The Mauryan period also saw the development of the Pali language, which became the primary language of Buddhist texts. The decline of the Mauryan Empire began after the death of Ashoka, and it eventually fragmented into smaller kingdoms and republics. However, the legacy of the Mauryan Empire continued to influence the political and cultural landscape of India for centuries to come. Thank you for listening. Stay tuned.